Thank you for visiting Riverview Elementary today. I'm excited to be able to highlight our Student Learning Supports Program, which is our program that supports our students with significant needs in our schools. The Student Learning Supports Program has been a part of Riverview Elementary for many, many years. Since my time at Riverview, we have worked very hard to create an inclusion model. In our minds, an inclusion model is so much more than just having kids in the classroom. Inclusion is about students in the program being full members of their peer groups. We see this every day at Riverview because some of the best supports for the kids in the SLS program are their peers sitting next to them. To help develop this peer-to-peer support system, we have designed a kids-to-kids class that occurs on Fridays, in which our PE teacher works with typically developing kids supporting students in our SLS program. What we've seen over the past few years is this now plays out into our classrooms, and onto the playground, into the lunchroom, in which students of all kinds are supporting the SLS students as their peers and friends. And that is the beauty and power of an inclusion program. One of our beliefs as we've been developing the inclusion aspect of our program is that inclusion is not just important for students in the SLS program, it's important for all students. That they are able to understand that they live in a world in which there's all sorts of people with all sorts of needs, and together, they are a community, and they grow and learn and help each other. Currently, there are 11 students in the program, and they are supported by 2 certified teachers and 5 paraprofessional staff. One of the goals of the program is to ensure that students are in the classroom and with their peers as much as possible. This demands a high level of resources of professionals to help support their learning needs. One aspect of that is we actually work on what we call a fading support model, in which when the students are engaged and working with their peers or independently engaged, the paraprofessional or certified teacher actually steps back and works with other kids in the classroom. From a general education perspective, teachers feel very fortunate to have students in the SLS program in their classrooms. And one, most importantly, is the opportunity for learning it provides for all students in the classroom and the diversity it brings into the classroom.
When Alyssa was in preschool, which seems like forever ago now, she's in 4th grade now, there was a program set up that's called Center Base. And at that time that Alyssa was in preschool, the preschool teachers came to me and said that Alyssa would be going into Center Base as her next venue for kindergarten and forward. It was explained to me that it was the best place for Alyssa because of her disability. So I decided that I wanted to go check out the SLS program and check out the center-based classroom. I felt like the teacher that was running the program was really in a very unfair position because she was trying to reach the attention and everything of these students that range from kindergarten through 5th grade. And so she was reading a book to these age spans, and the children were starting to get really unruly. And I felt like the children were getting unruly because that's just an impossible job. You can't reach all children at 6 different grade levels. It's just not possible. I just recognized that that was no place that I wanted my daughter because I felt like they'd never actually be able to meet her needs at her grade expectation. So I decided at that point that she was never going to be a center-based student, and that the only way for her to be able to achieve excellence for herself, whatever that might look like, would be to be amongst her age-appropriate peers. And there's a perception that maybe this experience only is a benefit to the child with a disability, and all the research indicates that that's not true. It actually reshapes the experience for all the children, and we find that it's a really positive impact for not just our daughter, but the other students too. A mom told me one time, she said, your daughter, your family is part of our dinner time talk on a regular basis. In one sense, that scared me a little bit, like, really, what do you talk about? But then, as she started describing her child's questions, why Alyssa might do something, and they as a family got to talk about some of those things, and that child is one of Alyssa's still very good friends, and somebody who really cares for her and looks out for her. And I think it just goes to show that it's okay to talk about the difference. It's just a matter of being open to it. And children can't be open to it unless the children with disabilities are right in there with them. If we put them in a separate classroom, we've created a reason for that, for the typically developing kids to think that they're different. If we put them in with the typical developing kids, if everybody is just together, then we all experience the same thing. And maybe if somebody else has differences, then we can not look at those differences as something as a set apart, but just that we all have our own unique thing about us. I just admire the children and the teachers and the aides so much because they're leading Alyssa to a future with people, and she really needs that. So there may be somebody within Alyssa's classmates that owns a business someday, or there may be somebody within Alyssa's classmates that wants her as a roommate when they get into the young adulthood. Our goal as a family is that we like to see her have some of those experiences that her friends have. I would like her to be able to have that same experience of having roommates and doing other things just like her peers. The only way to do that is to establish that inclusive relationship in a school setting so that the children all have that opportunity to get to know each other and build those relationships over those years. The buddy programs are the best thing happening.
And talk a little bit about that, the importance of the inclusion model, not only for the children that are in the SLS program, but for the general education children as well.
Okay. I believe it's very important because, one, it helps the children with special needs learn what it is to behave in a regular ed classroom. They look and notice their peers around them and what they're doing. And that's one of the things how we teach them is look at your friends. What are your friends doing? So they start learning, okay, well, I look around my surroundings and kind of model what they're doing. And it's not only benefits the special needs child, but it also is a big impact on the general ed students because they kind of see that special needs child and the different way they learn, and they kind of understand, oh, well, not everybody learns the same way. And they eventually have empathy for different kids with different learning styles. It does lead to acceptance because you might have a child that doesn't know how to deal with kids with different learning styles or different behaviors, and having a student with special needs in their classroom and how a pair works with them and the different ways that they react kind of helps them understand, well, okay, this is why this child acts this way. This is why, so-and-so gets upset and she can't talk. She can't tell us what she's feeling, but this is how they react. And it helps them be patient. I've worked with some kids and they've been in the classroom the whole time, and they've learned to kind of like block out when they might have a little outburst or anything. They understand, okay, well then, she's just having a hard day like everybody else does. I've tried to learn what the child's with special needs, what their strengths are. Alyssa, her strengths, she's very good at matching. She is able to, if with repetitive sequences, she will, she's able to pick out shapes. She's able to pick out words and match them. So part of that inclusion is, she's maybe not at that level as the regular students are, but she will work on the same skills. If the regular ed classroom is working on geometry, and well, her work will look slightly different, but we try to use the same vocabulary, same graphics or anything like that. So eventually, as she builds on this through years and years, eventually she will be able to differentiate different shapes or different problems. But then that's how we it's called like the scaffolding. We start at one level, and then as she is able to learn that level, we add a little higher level to it and just keep adding components to it until she's able to show that she's successful at it.
When we look at our survey results of our parents, we see that 97% of our parents report that most days their child likes to come to school, and that 99% of our parents report that Riverview has a positive and welcoming environment. The SLS program is just one example of how we achieve that level of positive, welcoming environment in our school. When we survey our students, we get very similar numbers. Kids like coming to school here. They feel it is a positive place. And part of the reason is because we treat them all with respect and we provide them all with the education they deserve.